students. What is the relationship between these folks?
Friendly.
Friendly?
It's a power play. It's a power struggle.
Okay. Can you say a bit more about that?
Somebody inflicts their will on the group.
Okay.
And changes the dynamic.
All right. Can you be more specific about in this scene, who's doing that, how they're doing that?
The person who represents the university.
Okay.
This is the TA on this
TA.
side, right?
Mhm.
So somebody who represents a cultural specialness, I guess. They're teaching at a university.
Okay.
Is making the choice
Okay.
for everybody.
Yeah.
Nicole also is part of that power.
Who is also part of that?
Nicole.
Nicole.
No, go raise your hand.
Oh.
I guess the question is, what do you think might be preventing Maria from changing the situation?
Maria.
Should we recreate the scenes like as still images? That'll help a little bit. Why don't we have you in the real? In fact, why don't we just stage the real scenes in the middle, and then we'll.
Yeah.
I still love it. This is the one we're going to intervene on, so then that's clear. Okay. So Maria, what do we think might be getting in the way of Maria's ability to, to challenge the situation, to change it?
Money.
Okay.
And also that she seems like she can't speak honestly. She's silent.
And what's preventing her from doing so?
I think multiple factors. Embarrassment, maybe.
She seems to be the only one that has the opinion. Maybe this person has an opinion too, but she doesn't say.
Also ignorance. That it's not all Maria, but it's also the other characters that are not aware of what her situation might be, not open enough to ask everybody what they want, but deciding for the group and assuming that that works for everyone.
You're thinking.
So I think Karen, their relationship is they know, and there's no backup. She doesn't have the same. She's in the same boat, but she risks that by going there. So what is holding her back is her sense of self-worth. I mean, for me, her sense of self-worth to be able to speak, to communicate her station without regard of, what other people may think. Also for Karen, to have a true friend. You know what I mean?
Okay. This one question I should have asked folks in the beginning was who knows this scene? Because you've personally experienced it, or you know someone else who experienced it. Who can relate to this, in some shape or form? Okay. So it affects us all in some way. I'm wondering, what would we like to see in this scene happen differently?
Queremos ver de que ella tome la decisión.
That she makes her decision.
Sí, ella tiene que cambiar
She has to
su
change
carácter,
her personality.
porque ella no tiene que dejarse dominar por un
She
grupo.
doesn't have to be dominated by the group. She's talking about Karen.
Porque sí, es una decisión que ella tiene que tomar.
It's a decision that she has
Si
to
sigue
take.
con los grupos de ella, siempre se va a sentir mal porque ella no puede.
If she always follows the group, then she's always going to feel bad, but she's never going to speak for herself.
Okay. Okay. So in that case, I want to invite somebody up, as you can probably guess by now. So you can try it.
Yes,
start from the beginning of the last scene?
And I wonder if it would be possible, maybe how many Spanish speakers are there in the group? Maybe they could do the scene in Spanish.
What does that mean?
And maybe you could kind of
Okay.
could we speak Spanish like
For
this?
Spain.
Have it done in Spanish and then you can translate it?
Yeah.
Does someone maybe want to replace Nicole? Who can speak Spanish? And that way, that might make it easier.
That's cool.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole is. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning of the last scene. Okay.
Oh, but now do we need to translate for us?
Great, and I think Brenda's very kind enough
I've
to
offered
do
to
that.
translate,
Oh, great.
and you speak Spanish too, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you could sit
If
on
I-
one side and translate those two, and I can translate. Oh, so
I don't speak Spanish.
so who speaks Spanish? Could everybody take one and translate for one person? So like if you translate, who would translate for this? Who would translate here?
Oh God.
You come up here and translate for him? Who'll translate for her? You'll translate behind me. Who'll translate for him? You can who wants to translate for him? You come up here and translate for him?
What's translate?
I will. Okay. You want to translate for her?
Oh God. I don't know.
Yeah. We're going to speak in English, so we should step back a little bit. We'll just listen for the person that we're translating. What am I taking it from?
The beginning of the last scene. So we're at.
So, what do you guys want to eat?
Vamos a empezar desde el principio de este.
Eso, ¿qué quieren comer ustedes?
What do you guys want to eat? Comida mexicana.
We want to eat Chinese,
Comida mexicana.
Sí, está solo a 3 bloques y está bien barata.
Yo quiero algo más saludable.
Sandwich.
Sándwich.
Oh, Subway.
Subway, pero no, Subway es muy barato.
No.
Pero es bueno, ¿verdad? Algo rico.
Algo rico, por favor.
De calidad. ¿Por qué no vamos a Olive Garden? Eso es rico.
Let's go to Lahsa.
Olive Garden, comemos ensalada, como Olive Garden. Es barato, es como $25, no es nada.
$25 tu plato.
$25 for one
Yeah.
plate?
$25.
$25. Olive Garden está buena la comida, los deseos son buenos.
Pero
¿Mucho dinero?
That's
Pero
what
no vamos a ir, no sé si ustedes quieren ir. ¿Quieren venir con nosotros?
You want to go with us?
No.
No,
No.
Bueno, pues,
Okay. All right. We'll see you there.
¿Qué quieres comer?
what do you want to eat?
Subway. Thank you.
Así como estamos tratando ahorita la comida, también podemos tratarnos acerca de, ¿puedo decir? ¿Lo puedo? Acerca de la droga.
just how we're treating this with food, about where we want to go food, we could also do the same thing about drugs.
Si alguien me invita a tomarlo, yo sé que no es bueno, yo tengo que tomar la decisión que no.
If someone is inviting me to do something bad, something that I know is not good for me, I have to take the decision of saying no.
Porque si yo no tengo dinero, no puedo estar en ese grupo.
If I don't have money, I could not be in this group.
Okay. Si yo sé que las drogas son malas, no me puedo ir en ese grupo.
And if I know that if drugs are bad for me, I could not be in a group like this.
Son cosas pequeñas, pero que nos llevan adelante. Como son pequeñas decisiones que traen a la vida grandes cambios en la vida.
The small decisions are the ones that make the greatest change in our lives.
I'm wondering if the innocent bystander, the quiet person that she replaced,
Se pregunta algo es si la persona que no se nada, bystander,
are they also the antagonists? Are they just as bad as the person who is suggesting
que
that's
si la persona que
drugs?
usted estaba actuando, esa es mala, es igualmente mala que los que no
Y
quieren
llevan la
ir a
misma
comer.
culpa que la gente que
Just as
estaba
guilty, yeah.
Sí, que tiene la misma culpa.
Do you think?
Que es la persona que usted estaba jugando al principio que no decía nada. Que cuando ellos se fueron a comer no decía nada, que si esa persona tiene tanta culpa como los que dijeron ir a un lugar más.
Oh, sí, porque ella tiene que tener decisión.
Yes, because that person needs to have a decision.
Sí, un dominio entre su vida, entre su persona.
They have to dominate themselves, not have someone else dominate
Sí,
them.
que no tiene que dejarse emplearse por otras personas.
They don't need to let someone else dominate. Yes.
I just also want to invoke the TA here because to me, I mean, assuming that the TA is going to be a grad student, right? I think that there's some responsibility for them to step in there. And I know as an educator all the time when I'm doing group trips, I have to make sure that everyone's okay with what the finances of that trip are going to be. Unfortunately, sometimes that means paying out of pocket, which also brings in a whole other system of TAs being underpaid and everything else, but teaching assistant, yeah. But I think that there's a power dynamic that's very important there.
Right. You get me wondering whether that was clear in the solution that we've just seen.
Just wondering, like, what could, like, that we're maybe forgetting that there was a quote unquote, not adult, but I mean someone who was in that classroom to model
Right.
in all
Right.
arenas.
I guess what's sitting for me based on what you just said is that the TA's walked in this scene again has just walked away without even realizing that or acknowledging it.
Yeah, I guess. Well, you want to involve her? Yeah, so I guess for me the big question is it always that easy? Está bien fácil como esto de vez en cuando para rechazar la idea de ellos. Is it always easy to reject the other people's ideas? If it wasn't food, si no es comida, pero si era como algo importante como ser un parte de un grupo de deportes, un grupo de estudios, por ejemplo. If it was about having to spend money on a field trip or studies or sports or something, then it wouldn't be so easy for her to walk away. And I'm wondering if that isn't a real problem that students have in
It is.
college life.
It is a real problem.
Saber si eso no es un reto real para los estudiantes en las universidades.
My students they don't buy their books.
She says it's a challenge. She thinks it's a challenge. And she was saying, yes, that was like, how close is it?
I'm curious what it would be like then if it was a different situation. Maybe we can change it to not food, but
The books one is a good example because that's a
Change
harder.
recipe right now.
That's a harder example because you have to have books.
Yeah.
How do you figure out how to study and how to not have money to buy books? And that's very real in lots of people experience.
And then as a teacher, what do you like? How do you penalize? You know, it's very hard because they have to have the book, right? But you know that maybe they can't afford it.
Okay.
So maybe if the TA was saying this is the thing, this is what the professor assigned for the homework. Make sure that you have it. It's in the book that costs $300. And then a student said, I don't have a book.
Okay. Well, this is great and confusing at once. because originally we thought we'd have a lot of interventions and then we wanted to get to feedback because our goal is to actually get your feedback and ideas for the scene. We have a little bit of time left. I want to check in and see how our actors are doing, whether we feel like we can maybe try this out, whether we could try to adapt this improv so that it speaks to this scenario that might be a bit more realistic, that lends itself less to a magic solution. How do you feel about that?
So asking us doing the same thing but with books instead of food.
Right, so this scenario that's just been proposed, and I might actually ask those who have that idea to help us out in creating it right now. I have no idea if it's going to work, but
Yeah.
we can give it a try.
Yeah.
We'll just focus on this last scene here, so the climax of the
Can you
play.
some switch?
I mean,
I mean, I'll do it.
you're going to try?
It's gonna be like 4 minutes. It's right there.
Missing one person, Nicole.
Open it up,
So,
record
so
it, and then
you
I'll
walk
stop
us
the
through
film,
it. We're
and then I'll
starting.
switch.
You wanna
Saying,
swap?
do you
Yeah.
wanna be the TA again?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think just asking like, okay, everyone take out your books.
Okay.
And then like maybe like assigning homework and then this on this book and you have to find this book.
Okay.
And then maybe she can come up and say, I actually don't have the
I
book.
don't know. Okay.
Or maybe